Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to House Party 5v5. We are just now starting up the first game, Season 4, Week 1. We're in the Premier League, and man, we are already starting out great. I am, of course, joined by my co-cast here, Mr. Stein.
Hey there, Dak. Really looking forward to the start of the new season.
Yeah, and already we're starting out with this team comp. We've got Zani Superstars versus Spooky Midnight. Zani Superstars, of course, on the blue side. And Spooky Midnight, we know Spooky Midnight. We also know Zany Superstars. They are a slightly different team, but we do know some of the people on it. And we do see the bands coming out. We had Yasuo Anar and Oriana coming out from the blue side, and Victor Callista Lulu coming out from the red side. Nice, safe bands. And the first pick Gangplank. We talked a little bit about it before the game, but I was not expecting a first pick Gangplank.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's going to go in the solo lane to Hamilton, or if that's going to go solo top or solo mid for Hamilton or Akuma. Probably would like it to see more in Hamilton's hands. Akuma's a little bit more comfortable playing these tanks, but I can see him also picking up more of a carry role. He has played Rise in the past and really shown a lot of strength and fruition on those types of champions where he's able to do a good bit of damage.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that he could kind of shine with. I'm not sure if he has played it a lot recently. I know that he did try it for a little while whenever it was first changed, so it is possible that he is prepared for whatever matchup he can be thrown in. The real question is he prepared to fight the potential juggernauts that he's going to be fighting? Because, as we see, no juggernauts got banned.
Yeah, but in the first 2 rounds of picks, no juggernauts have been grabbed up either. We see the Sivir and the Sejuani locked in for Harper Lee and Zark there. And really interesting picks that have fallen off a lot of priority in recent patches. Sivir still gives a lot of move speed, but in recent patches her move speed overall has been nerfed, and Sejuani just gets bullied out of the jungle if you get any kind of aggressive jungler. So this might be a pick saying, hey, Jixer, you're the new guy, you're a more passive jungler, or you're not as high ranked as some of us in solo queue. I'm going to see if I can get away with this pick that might be considered risky now.
And I do really like the Sejuani pick because it's very underrated right now. It was incredibly powerful at the beginning of the season. I mean, it was so dominant that it had, what, a 65% win rate at one point? Or something that ridiculous. And it was just insane. And it kind of fell off because it got nerfed, and we kind of moved away from the hardcore tank junglers to, like, things like Shyvana, Xin Zhao, Master Yi, people that like to farm and do a lot of damage. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes against them. It is very good in a sort of engage comp, which, with the Alistar and Renekton possible picks, might be what they're working towards.
Yeah, that Renekton locked-in is an interesting pick. Renekton does have a lot of priority, a lot of damage, and is very strong against a lot of the juggernauts kind of in the top lane. He's able to bully them out and be that kind of team fight threat. But again, we don't know if that's going to be Akuma or Hamilton playing it. With the Zed Vladimir hovers, it seems more than likely to be going to Akuma, but it could very easily still go over to Hamilton, and you could get a free counter pick into that Renekton. Also, I don't think Renekton's that strong into Gangplank, because the Gangplank oranges are on the similar cooldown to the entire stun combo of the Renekton, so the trades, aren't necessarily completely in Renekton's favor, where he's able to get into a bunch of damage and get out for free.
I'm inclined to slightly disagree, though, because while you do lose the power of having that stun all the time, what you gain is he's a resourceless top laner who also has fairly good sustain in the form of his slash, particularly whenever he has enough fury built up.
Right. I shouldn't say this is by any means in Gangplank's favor. Renekton is such a strong bully, will probably be favored against the majority of melees for a very, very long time until things change around, because Renekton is just such a strong pick and a strong 1v1 duelist. But I don't think it's as good of a bully pick as it would be compared to a lot of other champions, and I think if Akuma Shinigami is able to play that lane correctly, he should be able to make it into the teamfights just fine with a lot of damage.
Right, I agree with that, and I see that because of the Sejuani pick coming up from Spooky Midnight, they actually could have afforded, especially with Harper Lee picking up that Alistar for his team, likely going to be played by Downtown Davis, but it wouldn't have surprised me if they would have used, like, say, a Fiora, or like a Darius or something, like some other very potentially tanky character, but who can also do a lot of damage. Talking about, though, coming out from Zany Superstars, we do have this team comp that's kind of a team fighting comp. It's more of a skirmishing comp is what it is, because you've got these really powerful AoE ults, and then you've got champions like Vayne and Gangplank who kind of want to like get in and out. Vayne in the form of being able to just kind of hit people on the sidelines with silver bolts, and Gangplank being able to kind of set up those kegs, which are going to be quintessential to his damage output.
That being said, I really like the Azir pick for Jetrix here, because you're able to kind of zone out Cannon and Wukong if you position correctly, and it works as the displacement works in a similar manner to a John ultimate, and you also have Downtown Davis who's able to ult away with Alistar and kind of create more disengage for the team and give Harper and co. a lot of time to kind of move back and pick apart their fights. But then again, you're picking prodding against Vayne and giving more time for the Gangplank to chase as well. So I think both of these teams have very interesting team fights, and it's going to shape up in a pretty interesting way.
Yeah, I think the weirdest thing between both team comps, though, is that neither of them really picked anybody who is going to be rushing down towers anytime soon. Because, sure, Azir can do a lot of damage to a tower, but can he really manage to push Kennen back constantly? Because Kennen's wave clear is not fantastic, but Kennen is resourceless, as we had mentioned before with the Renekton, so he does have a very slight advantage in that respect. Now, I'm not really sure how the Kennen versus Azir matchup goes. I have seen it occasionally, but it goes back and forth, so I'm assuming that it's going to be down to whether or not Hamilton is comfortable against this Azir, because Jetrix has actually played some Azir. Now, we don't have a lot of games of him having played it, and he hasn't played in this season yet, obviously, but there is some potential that he knows what to do against a Kennen.
Yeah, I want to touch on his pick of Ignite, though, in this matchup. Would really like to see a cleanse, because if he's able to cleanse out of the Kennen stun, he's able to create the zone and the safety for his team that doesn't rely entirely on the Alistar ult, just in case the Alistar ult is already burned down. Instead, Jetrix has to position really well to not be caught out, and if he gets hit by one Morgana binding, the teamfights can go over to Zany Superstars very, very quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I guess we can talk a little bit about these teams because we are in the first game, not let alone the first day of the new season, and we haven't really talked about them very much. So of course we have on the blue side, we have the Zany Superstars, whose team captain is I am not sure if I'm going to remember his name. No, it was Hamilton. That's right. I was about to say Akuma, but no, Hamilton is the team captain. And of course, on the red side here, we have Spooky Midnight. And their captain is Afrosaurus, but he is not here right now. So, they don't have their captain on their team. They're filling him in. However, both teams have a couple of people that have been here in each season and also have some new faces. We do have, obviously, the most recognizable ones are going to be The Boss, Hamilton, Zark, Harper Lee, Akuma showed up for a while. So, a couple of good faces. So, and I hope that everybody else is excited for this first game as I am. So. Caster's going to go ahead and take a brief break during the loading screen, and we'll catch you guys back on the Rift. See you soon. Once again, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first game of the new season of the Premier League of House Party 5v5. We are in Game 1, of course. This is Zany Superstars versus Spooky Midnight. Zany Superstars on the blue side, Spooky Midnight on the red side. I am, of course, Det Club Ace, and joining me today for my co-casting is, of course, Mr. Stein.
Hey, we got two fantastic teams going out of here. Okuma Shimigami in the top lane with Gangplank, American Korea and the boss in the bot lane with Vayne and Morgana, respectively. Jixer in the jungle coming out with Wukong, and Hamilton 33 coming out with Cannon in the mid lane. We see some early pressure coming out, trying to get a little bit of ward control of that first ward, and it does go down. So we have the flank coming out, just showing Jetrick, hey, you're a sub, but we're going to give you a nice big hello coming out in the mid lane.
30 seconds until
That may as well. A little rudeness, but, you know, may as well have a little rudeness in the first game.
Hey, we're trying to get excited here. There's no reason to just let somebody freely stand in the mid lane and place a ward.
Well, of course not. And good on you, Jarek. You did not actually use your flash. I was kind of expecting him to flash, because if he'd got ignited, he might have died. But, you know, very calm play. A little bit of joking around, but everything is fine. It looks like we're going to see a pretty standard start these days. Of course, we're going to have, on Spooky Midnight's side, the top lane is going to share some XP and help out the jungler with the leash, and that's going to let him be able to gank mid and bot side instead of maybe trying to go mid and top, whereas, unfortunately, on the other side, it's going to be the casual bot side leash, very common. Gangplank will, of course, be solo laning for a little bit, but he'll be joined by his partner as soon as able.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're going to do the full jungle druid in the top lane here for Dark and N-Step here. They let N-Step take a little bit, and they are stealing the EXP, so it looks like they're going to go with the full double jungle, which will be a faster clear for both of them coming out. And should give an EXP lead over to both lanes very easily as soon as these kind of waves go through and hit. So, you have a couple seconds in top lane to try to be aggressive and get the brief lead coming out. But as soon as they hit level 2, there's going to be a lot more safety coming out of this top lane for Spooky Midnight and go. Spooky Midnight go.
And it's not something that we're unaccustomed to seeing now. It's becoming a lot more popular to have this sort of, oh, well, if you're starting the red side, it's a really good idea to have your bot lane take the Gromp and your top lane go help out the top side jungle. And you don't really lose much for it.
No, especially because with Okuma Shinigami, instead of the wave, so it is going to shove into N-Step. So N-Step's going to get the full wave here, and it's not going to. And I think it's going to miss out on a total of 2 creeps by the end of the time. A good binding from the boss, and some early harass on the Harper lead gives the HP advantage over to Zany Superstars, but that should be neutralized pretty quickly once Downtown Davis hits level 3 and gets that heal.
Oh yeah, most certainly. We're seeing that Harper Lee's trying to use that boomerang to do a little bit of damage, but it's not really doing very much right now. That's just a consequence of it being early game, and, well, it's just not doing very much at the first rank. We're seeing the keg set up. And that's a miss.
And, yeah, it's a miss, but N-Step did take a little bit of damage, and he's being autoed by the minions and taking a good bit. He's losing on that trade overall, but, I mean, he has plenty of pots to heal up just the same. So we see an early gank coming out from Zark. He gets the early and blocks up Hamilton, gives him a little bit of CC, but they're not able to kind of follow up on it. Meanwhile, the top lane, Okuma Shinigami has to flash out. N-Step is going to catch him here, and yes, first blood go over to N-Step on the solo kill.
You know, it takes some huge oranges to stare down a gun and hit it with a big axe. And I think that N-Step had the bigger oranges.
He also was very composed, was able to go in, knowing the oranges were down from Okuma Shinigami, and get that trade before the E expires. So Okuma had to flash to try to get away, but N-Step was able to follow with the second E and didn't have to use his flash either. So that kill threat is still going to be on the board for a while. Like, nothing's really used up from N-Step to get it there.
And we do see, actually, N-Step does spend his gold that he got on a pickaxe, so he is committed to trying to bully Okuma out of lane. And Okuma, responding, realizing that he can't actually just fight, goes for the flask. And normally we would actually see somebody start with the flask, but I guess
he did start with the
might
flask. He picked up the Doran's Blade.
I thought he started with the Doran's Blade.
No, he started Flask, stayed in base for the extra health pot, So he,
Oh, okay.
despite
That's
all
why
of
it
his
looked
sustain,
weird.
he didn't kind of back off there when he really needed to
Yeah,
out pot.
I just would have
and stuff.
assumed that if he had a Dorn's Blade, he was going to be trying to fight more, but I guess not. And now he's just going to be losing the fights.
Well, I mean, he came out on the positive end of that trade there. The minion aggro being a little bit awkward. Zark's playing really aggressive right here with the Sejuani, especially only being level 3. He knows he has the advantage here, but Jetrix doesn't have the mana to really follow up, and Hamilton, being resourceless, is able to just kind of poke him out and force him out and give Jetrix more of the jungle.
That's okay. Jictrix is managing to hold on to his jungle very safely here. Not really seeing Zark get a whole lot from all of his invades and ganks so far. He hasn't really gotten any summoners. He is a little bit behind in farm. Taking a little bit of damage there.
Yeah, that orange was a little bit late as well. But with this orange being down, NSF's positioning a lot more aggressively, and Akuma just has to kind of relax here, not go anything too tense. Now, he steps forward. This might be another solo kill here for N-Step. Yes, he does get the kill. That's a 2-0 lead over to Spooky Midnight.
Now, I just want to outline N-Step here with that play, because he used the slice really early. He opened with his stun, used the slice, and then held it until the moment that he was out of range. It was like, okay, well, now I have to use it. And he managed to not only get in range with it, but he also did damage with it too. So he got that little bit of extra damage he needed to make sure that Akuma couldn't sustain out against the auto attack.
Yeah, just absolutely fantastic composure. And again, N-Step not using any more resources than needed to get that kill. He didn't burn the ultimate, he didn't burn his flash. He's still at the threat of, I'm going to trade with you twice, and I'm going to end up on the top end of this, and you might be dead if you don't position correctly. Now, we do see that Tiamat picked up for Renekton. Do you think that's going to go more towards the new Health Hydra or the Lifesteal Hydra?
You know, I've played it a little bit, and I'm kind of torn, because I think that the Titanic Hydra is very good for a lot of champions, but I'm not convinced that it's good for Renekton, because Renekton thrives surrounded by minions, and it's not as useful for him as, say, having the Ravenous Hydra, and being able to just sustain off of the lifesteal that he gets. So, maybe, but we'll have to see. I think he's going to go for more sustain. Whoa!
But no matter what, he has a ton of damage right here. We have Jetrix coming in the mid lane here, but... we have Dixer coming in the mid lane, ganking Jetrix, and Jetrix is able to just jump away to safety. He's had really good control in this mid lane, and Hamilton hasn't been able to get a lot done. Though Zark's first two ganks really didn't net him any summoner spells or kills, it did, however, get him a good bit of pressure and a small CS lead going over to Jetrix in that early 10 CS.
You know, with all these Jays, I'm glad that neither of them played Jace, because we would be lost.
I mean, like, tongue twisters are always fun. Akuma Shinigami has to burn the ultimate in order to just clear the wave and not be dove by N-Step there. Good composure, good play to understand that, but at the same time, he's really down and definitely needs some help soon. On the other hand,
and the downside for that, for him is that he's now going to have to use his teleport to get back to lane, because he's going to be shoved in the tower. So
that as well.
Uh-oh.
A good sidestep from
fine.
Jetrix. Steps away from the boss, does not get chased. Downtown Davidson walks out, boss uses his shield, and, you know, nothing comes out. A good neutralization of pressure in that mid lane.
Yeah, we'll see if they're maybe gonna look towards Dragon. We do see that Spooky Midnight has dropped a pink ward and cleared out a little bit of vision near there, but no vision coming out yet towards Dragon from Zany Superstars. Not really a huge thing on the priority list, I guess. They're more interested in trying to keep what little ground they might have, or lack thereof, I guess, in terms of top lane. Everywhere else, though, is doing kind of okay. Bot lane, of course, has a very minor CS difference, and that's mostly because of the level
see an
difference.
early roam from Hamilton coming in. He is going to get the stun, and just does not end up finishing the stun on N-Step here, but does a lot of damage. It's a large cooldown blow, and they're trying to position to get this turret. Would like to see Jetrix and Zark go somewhere and match this pressure, because you have a three-man run in the top lane. Oh, but Jetrix is setting up. Gives a little bit of harass on to Hamilton, but has to dip away when he realizes Jixer is right behind him.
Looks like he's not too far gone, though.
Yeah, they are looking to trade the
Meanwhile,
bot lane's pressure. Some good roam over. Boss trying to steal it, but about 2,000 HP too early. They're waiting to smite it. Yes, that is the closeout in the first dragon going over Spooky Midnight off the failed 3-man gank of the top lane.
I think that it's a little bit risky to worry about the gank, because yes, okay, Gangplank is behind, but the best thing that you could do would be to try and pressure elsewhere and then have them gank. Because, sure, Hamilton came up, but Hamilton isn't, like, ahead of Jetrix. They're even right now.
But, I mean, he did it when Hamilton did have the positioning, and Jetrix was coming from base, so it was a pretty safe roam up anyway. But there was no follow-up, and there was no setup with Jixer. And Jixer's level 7, it's 11 minutes of the game, and he hasn't really had... I don't think he's damaged an enemy champion yet. He's level 7. Would really like to see him try to go for an in-lane pressure. They have the ability to control these bot waves. They don't have a sweeper yet, but they have the ability to control the bot waves and tell if there's a ward. They try to get that gank on Harper and Downtown Davis, but currently he's just farming up and I guess hoping to finish his warrior item.
You can see the defeat for Akuma because he went for the first item, Ionia boots with home guards. Normally,
That's a big flash coming out. A good knockback from Jetrix was a little bit late. Does get stunned up and does go down to Akuma Shinigami's ultimate there. Great play, great teamwork, and a good call. Was kind of questioning that flash coming out from Jetrix or Jixer before even getting there, but a good just go button from the team, and they're able to pick up the kill.
Yeah, I wonder how many more of those they're going to be able to get, though, because if you need your flash every time to initiate, then it's going to be a long game.
The issue was, I don't think they even needed the flash. If they had known that the wards were swept out, if they had known they had ping control on either side brush, because there are no wards in those immediate two brushes, then... Sorry, N-Stubs does a lot of damage right now. If you know that there aren't wards in either of those side brushes, you're able to get that gank safely against Jetrix, and able to go in a lot easier, but...
Oh, Akuma, you're in a bad spot.
Yep, Akuma's not going down. And Seth decided that, you know, this isn't your time. We're just going to trade flashes out of solidarity, but ends up living with just a sliver of HP. But that still is a 17 CS lead in the top lane for Renekton.
I think he assumed that the AoE from his ult was about to kill him, and he just backed up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's also the... Gangplank has very high base move speed anyway, and already has the completed tier 2 boots. So if he didn't get it within that first immediate burst, he wasn't going to catch him anyway. But
I guess that's reasonable. We do see, though, that Enstev is opting to go likely for this Ravenous Hydra. He did pick up a Vamp Scepter. I'm not really sure what else it could be built in besides going for Ravenous Hydra. You don't normally build, like, a Bloodthirster or Blade of the
it could
Ruined King
always be the infamous Blade of the Ruined King Renekton build that was popularized in Season 3 Europe, but I don't know, that wasn't ever too bad of a choice. A Glacial Person does come out, but the turnaround from Hamilton is going to get the kill on Zark here. He's still probably going to be dying, but this is also an all-in in the bot lane coming out here. Downtown Davis messes up the combo. Harper Lee is going to turn around. The Akumi Shinigami's ultimate is coming down, and they're looking to chase here. And the boss is living with just a sliver of HP, and it turns out Zark is the only one going down across the map. But, Jixer is right here, does get the turnaround, does kill Harper Lee. They are chasing down a beautiful combo from the boss here, and a double kill goes over to the Amerikorean.
Oh, Jixer, that was, I take it back, that was a great initiate, because he came into vision, and the moment he came into vision and went back into stealth, it was too late. Harper couldn't back up, Downtown Davis could not see him, so there was just no way to stop it.
Harper couldn't even use his heal. Now, I do want to kind of question Zark's decision-making there, not only for ganking with such a low HP against an AoE damage threat such as Hamilton, but also, he was down there just a couple minutes ago pressuring Amerikorean and Boss off the turret a little bit, getting some pressure. And he didn't place a ward there. He has a complete Sightstone, and yet he didn't seek to get the deep ward in just in the event of Wukong being in the area and them playing around it.
I think that if they had had the opportunity to get that vision...
Oh, but Edstep's going in here.
Oh, never mind.
This is a 2v1, but this is a 2v1 that I think he can take if they're just letting him have it. He's gonna back off here because Jixer is in the area. Zark is pressuring, but that's two half health champions for one.
Well, Jixer's in the area, and they do know because of Zark's deport. So
yeah,
I guess he did deport somewhere.
If you have the deport somewhere, you do get in the top side. A good Cadet from the American Korean stops the combo from Downtown Davis, but they are going to force off the American Korean from this turret, and Harper Lee and Downtown Davis are going to get this bot turret.
Ooh, N-Step really wants a piece of that gangplank.
Akuma Shinigami, I do have to say to his credit, is playing this significantly better than before. Oh, but good. The ultimate comes out for Akuma Shinigami to try to get this low. They're going to chase out the Downtown Davis here. They're going to possibly get him, but no, he survives with just a little bit of HP. A beautiful stuff from the American Korean. They're going to chase, and that is a third kill going over to Vayne. American Korean is doing a fantastic job and just had an absolutely fantastic condemn there in the split second. Harper mispositioned in front of the turret.
Yeah, I think that was very interesting because the boss was tanking the turret really low. And I was like, oh no, the boss is going to die and it's going to be a failed dive. And uh-oh, Jixer's here to do nothing and knock away. Okay.
Get walked out.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay, that's fine.
but that was overall really good play coming out from Zany Superstars because they managed to do this nice little dive. They didn't quite get Downtown Davis, but they did manage to get Harper Lee to step out of line long enough to stun him against a wall, and that was enough to be able to kill him.
Jetcheck's getting a little bit aggressive on Jixer here. I think Jixer is fine having his clone up in just 2 seconds and also having his flash still open. But some good aggression coming out from Zero just the same. I do have to say, Akuma Shinigami is making very good use of this Gangplank pick, despite starting 0-2 and being heavily bullied by N-Step's counter pick of Renekton. His ultimates have been in fantastic position and have really set up the rest of the map to do good work.
I mean, besides the initial ultimate that we saw him have to blow so that he could manage to get that early top lane tower damage taken off by killing all the minions, he has had some really good ults. He had a really good ult mid and killed Jetrix with it. He had a really good ult bot lane and managed to get a kill, almost 2 kills out of it.
Well, they did. I mean, they did eventually end up getting the second kill.
They did eventually get a second kill,
but yeah, his presence across the map has been very good for his team, and he's shown why Gangplank is a first pickable champion, even despite the armor penetration nerfs for his late game damage. Wow, hard to confuse.
And
someone
really,
with
the
that
armor
kind of beard for a
penetration
girl.
nerfs were really just to the keg, and the keg armor penetration was kind of ridiculous. I mean, ignoring 60+% of somebody's armor with an ability is kind of insane, let alone in an area of effect and getting bonus damage. But right now, he is showing it is still really good. It's still worth first picking, and honestly, you might want to consider picking something that might be able to counter it. I'm not entirely certain that the Renekton counters it. It is a hard matchup for both of them. But really, Zany Superstars, they need to work on positioning here.
Oh, a big ultimate from Jetrix, but a little bit on the desync from the rest of his team. The ultimate comes out from Akuma Shinigami. Jixer's going to be able to come in. Boss is trying to follow up here, and a double kill coming out for Hamilton already. A good kill from the boss, and that's going to be another kill going over actually the Gangplank here. They're trying to chase out here, but Vayne is still very healthy and is going to flash a double to Akuma Shinigami and a triple kill over to Akuma Shinigami. That is an ace going over to Zany Superstars at the cost of the boss and Jixer.
And if you think about it, at the beginning of that, the boss was actually really low. He only really got to do a little bit in that fight, so it was almost a 4v5 that they won there.
It was almost a 4v5, but I mean, the boss also got off his full damage. Well, didn't get the full damage off his shackles, but was able to get the catch onto N-Step, who is a big portion of Spooky Midnight's gold here, and was able to pose enough of a threat, give the Black Shield over to the team as they needed it, to allow them to follow up with this big AoE team fight.
Oh, definitely. And I think the best thing about that was not the actual kills that they got. The kills were kind of a bonus. The important thing is that they're getting these towers down, because they didn't have any towers before this. Now, they're almost even on towers, and they've got a very slight lead because of those kills that they've gotten. If they manage to continue getting these nice little skirmishes, these nice catches where they can go, okay, we can commit, we have all of our AoEs up, then they might be able to very easily put this their way. Now, on the flip side, Spooky Midnight does still have a decent means of getting in. They have a lot of CC, and if they manage to catch out, say, Akuma, if they catch out the boss, if they catch out Amerikorean, then that's a lot of damage that gets lost. Sure, the boss is playing support, but the CC that he brings is ridiculous.
As well as the Black Shield, which gives him a lot of safety against against Zarg's initiations. My question, though, in that last fight was, what was Jetrix doing? He was going for the big play in the initiation that they don't need to make. They have the ability to run at a team if they misposition. They have the long lane to set up for it. And yet, Jetrix was trying to flash ult and catch 3 people, which they really didn't need to do. Kuma Shinigami blows the ultimate in the top lane to try to catch N-Step, and N-Step is able to just eat a safety there. And they're positioning from Spooky Midnight to get ready to dive this bot lane, it looks like.
Now, it looks like Akuma's going to be taking a lot of damage here, but I don't think he's actually going to die. I think that N-Step is going to back up. Oh, maybe not. Looks like he's going to try and double fight.
Does get a good bit of lifesteal, and they're able to blow Boss's ultimate, but he's able to just kind of walk away from here just fine, get a little bit of safety. And, you know, pulling 2 people top lane by N-Step gives another turret over Spooky Midnight.
Well, and more importantly, he did use his ultimate, but he also got the boss's ultimate. So that managed to get an extra ultimate where they can possibly rotate mid, maybe push in, and the boss does not have that really strong cooldown.
There's also the fact that N-Step, again, still has his flash. He's been very composed, very patient with using the summoner spells this entire game. And he's made good work of it. He's able to get kills when he's not previously been able to, unless, you know, he just run away with Gangplank with a sliver of HP and tier 2 boots. But he's able to get away with that safety. Now, we see Spooky Midnight here setting up off Jetrix's passive turret. And just kind of waiting here. Neither team really has the ability to press. They're looking for Jetrix to be doing damage here with the Marilla Nomicon probably going to Deathcap Azir build.
Looks like they're going to try and go for a 2-3 sort of siege. They want to siege out one of these 2 towers, but they're not sure which one they're going to be able to get. Now, I think that they're more likely to be able to get this mid lane one, but possibly not. No, it looks like N-Step is going to be backing. His teleport won't be up for a little bit longer, so not really sure what he's going to be doing, I guess.
But I mean, they back
all that
up.
Gold and getting a Randuin's.
They still back off with 30 seconds before the dragon. They're able to try to set up, get some vision, get the item spikes they need right before it. I mean, get Jetrix over his blue buff, assuming it doesn't reset too much. And get prepared for this dragon that's coming up and try to take control of the game that way. Because the thing is, they're definitely outscaled by this comp from Zani Superstars. But if they're able to get to the 5 dragons, then scaling doesn't truly matter. You have another win condition you're able to force fights around on the board.
Right, and I think that's just one of the advantages to having this team comp that's going. Zark is taking a whole bunch of damage.
Taking a little bit of damage. Hamilton is rushing in, is not able to flash. They're able to kite back using Downtown Davis and Harvard Lee's ultimate, but that is the ultimate burned. And Jetrix is on the wrong side of the fight here. He's looking to poke a little bit down onto Hamilton, but it's only a little bit, and this is going to be a dance on who's going to be able to poke harder. The Azir, who's often is lonesome, or the Morgana Gangplank, where if you're able to get a binding, you're able to get a big fight. If you're able to get a barrel, you're able to do a ton of damage still.
It's looking like... I have to say, I was kind of questioning the Azir pick before, but I do really like the Azir now, talking about the Gangplank, because he can safely get rid of Gangplank.
Oh, Jixer
going in for the flash initiate.
Going in very early. They're starting a good fight. Jetrix has a beautiful ultimate, able to kind of push back, but it doesn't matter because they're just able to chase down here from this bot lane. And the dragon still goes over to Zani Superstars, and they're picking up probably going to be a 4-for-1, possibly 4-for-2, 4-for-1 fight here overall to Zani Superstars. That was a
fight.
Scattered and interesting engage.
So, like, just to kind of break down what just happened there, in case anybody blinked, Jixer flashed over the dragon wall and immediately dove towards them, but Zark threw the stun. And they didn't kill him in time, so he got to use his ultimate. But then he got knocked out of the way, and the rest of his team just collapses on everybody, now that they've had time to recompose themselves of this insane thing that just happened. And look, they all blew their flashes. Every one of them flashed in that fight.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this team comp from Zani Superstars. They have a ton of initiation and gap close pressure, when they have flash between the Morgana, the cannon, and the Wukong. But usually, you're able to push that back if you're the Azir and you're positioning correctly. Jetrix was by himself on the top side of the map, was the only person there, and when Hamilton, Jixer, and the boss all flashed in to start the fight, Jetrix saved himself an ultimate and ultied, got a lot of damage off that Emperor's Divide, but pushed Hamilton and the boss back into the fight, back into the middle of the rest of the Spooky Midnight lineup, and just killed them.
Yeah, a little bit of itchy trigger finger, maybe. Not really think of the consequences. Kuma taking a whole bunch of damage from instep.
Yeah, is blowing the ultimate here, and, you know, ends up turning it around. Akuma Shinigami has been playing with fire this entire laning phase, especially because that slice and dice was already up. There's about half a second left on the stun with 2 seconds to go in the oranges. If Ensep was able to just flash on top and E onto Akuma Shinigami would have just died there. But doesn't get out of it. They're positioning, they're all kind of chasing up and grouping up on this top side of the map here.
But, you know, of course Akuma Shinigami's playing with fire. His sword's on fire.
Oh, that's true. That's very true. An interesting pickup, the static Shiv from Gangplank, trying to give a little bit more safe wave clear in this top lane.
It's also a very nice little poke that you can get that doesn't rely on your keg. Oh, Zark going ahead and showing himself, saying, I'm here too. Maybe we can dive, maybe not, we'll see. Oh, never mind. Zark, what are you doing? You can't take damage yet.
Yeah, again, I have to criticize the Sejuani pick. It was picked in the first rotation for Spooky Midnight, and I don't see it as a priority. Yes, it's a strong teamfight jungler, but the Wukong is doing a lot more damage and has been proving a lot more useful for these fights overall. He's up 20 CS. He's been able to farm very aggressively, and it's 1-1-8 versus 0-3-1 here.
I think a lot of it comes down to not being able to farm very well. Not really having any successful ganks. Only one of his ganks actually succeeded in any measure, and he got an assist off of it. So he's behind in terms of items anyway, and because of that, he's not able to build a Randuin's. He's not able to build Banshee's Veil, any defensive items, lockets, anything. So he's really just got health right now, and that doesn't really help you against Gangplank and Vayne.
Yeah, and a little bit of positioning over here. Spooky Midnight is gathering for another set of siege. Akuma Shinigami is pushing the bot lane, trying to get a little bit up there. Does have the ultimate to help out if need be. But would like to see, with the total topside control, Spooky Midnight possibly turn onto the Baron. They can't do it extremely quickly, but they can still do it. They can still do it quick enough to be a threat and possibly pull a fight and get the control and get the chokes. So Zark's able to get a big ultimate, you're able to turn a fight based off of that.
I think that they maybe should have tried to bait something out of that, because at the moment, Akuma is bot lane, and they know that the ward coverage near Baron was very limited. So the only ward is the one that was just placed by Hamilton when they were walking up there. So I think that if they had tried to bait something, they might have been able to get it, because they have vision in the entirety of Zani Superstar's jungle. It's not like they don't know where everybody is. They're fully aware of where everybody is. So I guess they just kind of wanted to go spend some gold that they might have been sitting on, maybe prepare for the dragon who's going to be spawning in about a minute or so, but that seems really early to be preparing for a dragon that, well, last time you lost a dragon fight.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other things. There was the death cap being finished by Jetrix. You wanted to back and buy that along with the components for the Void Staff, which I'm guessing is coming next. You're just buying item spikes all around, trying to make sure you're on top of things. So when and if a fight breaks out, when all it's able to go pretty smoothly. We have Downtown
I would
Davis.
like to see...
I'm wondering what Zark is kind of walking forward into. He's not. Yeah. Okay. There's a pause.
Okay, that was a disconnect.
Yeah, that was it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, just to talk about it, we did see that Jetrix picked up a Blasting Wand and a Tome, and that can go one of two ways. Either he's going to go for a Void Staff, which could do well. Currently, there's only really one person on Zany Superstars that has any magic resist, and that's Hamilton. But it could also become a Rylai's. And that's something that we do occasionally see on Azir because it lets him get a little bit more of extra damage out with his soldiers whenever he does his dash. So I'm not sure. I think that he might be better suited to buy the Rylai's because it would allow him to do a little bit more in these fights. But at the same time, they need to be focusing down somebody because Downtown Davis is also lagging. But they need to focus down somebody in these fights because right now Hamilton is very strong. American Korean is very strong. Akuma is very strong. Just even Jixer, who is going like this, going warrior into tank Wukong, is still really strong. He's managed to survive every insane initiate that he's done, regardless of how questionable we thought it was. And still been a huge credit to the team fight.
Yeah, I also, like, echoing your point, I would love to see the Rylai's coming out from Azir here, because it allows him to control the area of the fight. Azir's been a popular pick across multiple regions in professional play, because he's able to dictate where fights occur, and is a champion that does a ton of damage that comes with his own set of peel. Now, if you're able to push Hamilton out of his ultimate, if you're able to push the boss out of a fight, if you're able to push Jixer's ult back, you're doing fantastic things for your team. But Jetrix hasn't been in a position to do that for a single fight. The only time he's landed an ultimate on a bunch of people was the first time they were aced, when he did it, realized the rest of the team wasn't following up, flashed out, and the second fight where he knocked Hamilton and the boss back towards Harper, Zark, and Endstep.
Right. So on second thought, realizing the error of my ways, the API optimization changes actually made it so Rylai's doesn't build out of a blasting wand anymore. It's a needlessly large rod. So it can't be that, but it could be. He could be mimicking the Abyssal Scepter. It could be a Void Staff, but I'm not convinced that it's going to be a Void Staff yet, because there's not really any MR to build it against.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't
good thing
think
to build ahead of time.
I don't think it's a good itemization choice, but again, we highlighted in Champ Select, Jetrix is not the primary mid laner, is not necessarily known for his Azir play in solo queue as well. He might not be as comfortable with the champion and champion's itemization choices as their starting mid laner after Source might be.
Well, I guess I can say a little bit about it because a lot of people don't know the mathematics behind it, but like the thing about Void Staff is that it is valuable to buy if there are enough people on the enemy team that have more than like 80 MP.
Oh, we see Harper Lee coming in. They're trying to chase the Queen Shinigami here. Queen Shinigami still hasn't used the ultimate, is using it to slow here. Does a ton of damage to Harper Lee. Holy wow. And this is probably going to be a fight. The ultimate does not connect for Zark. He's trying to jump in onto Jetrix. This is so scrambled, but these tiny scraps are where Vayne thrives. And we have Zani Superstars who are able to chase down, and just, they're on the wrong side of the map here for Spooky Midnight, and they're... Woo! Endstep does end up getting the boss, but it's a 2-for-1, and they're turning onto Baron.
Oh, this is really dangerous for Spooky Midnight. Both of their carries are here, but they're both really low. Downtown Davis is the only one that's even healthy.
I would say both of their carries. Akuni Shibagami does a ton of damage and is definitely a carry here. It does end up going over to Zany Superstars. They get it with relative safety, and that is a 6k gold lead. That is a 10 kill lead, 31 minutes, and a Baron over to Zany Superstars.
And they do have bot lane currently pushing in, so Spooky Midnight's going to have to send somebody to deal with that. Looks like they're going to turn around and go straight for the dragon. They definitely don't want to give up these dragons, even though they're ahead, because they realize we might be scaling, but dragon will stop us if they manage to get them. And, of course, the simultaneous back looks like they're all going to be buying a couple of items, see what gets picked up.
I really like the Dead Man's Plate from Wukong as well, especially with the Q. That's a ton of immediate burst damage even coming out from this tank, and if you're able to get the slow, you're able to get more damage from the his ultimate coming out as well. With the when Wukong starts moving his body like a cyclone, he only needs a little bit more damage to really be a threat and set up Hamilton and America Korea to chase and end up cleaning up these fights, or a Commissioning Gami as it's been the last couple fights. Endstep.
Oh, Endstep, you can't fight this anymore.
This is no longer your friend. And Akuna Shimigami is finally getting his revenge. Goes legendary and kills N-Step, who killed him for the first 2 kills of the game.
He has to pay him back, okay? It's important.
Misfortune sends her regards.
That's cold. Like the bottom of the sea, where his ship is.
But ignoring all the weird pirate lore themed, not even puns the incorrect word, but wordplay. They're positioning and trying to dive here, coming out. A good ultimate from Jetrix, they're able to get to safety. No one is looking like they're going to go down here, but Akuna Shimigami is still pressuring this top turret, doing a ton of damage. It's taking up Zark's time, and that is the tier 2 still going over for Zany Superstars. I like the call. I like the aggression. You're able to force back Spooky Midnight here, but good composure to know, okay, they blew their flashes, they blew their ultimates, we can step back and we're fine.
See, the thing is that it's actually really funny because Hamilton is completely willing to throw his Slicing Maelstrom at one person if that person is Jetrix, because it means, oh, Jetrix has to panic and use Emperor's Divide, because if he doesn't, he's going to die.
Not just Emperor's Divide, but Emperor's Divide and Flash.
There's no other option, he has to do it. Yeah, has to Emperor's Divide and Flash.
Again, would have loved to see the cleanse. I think Jetrix has ignited once this entire game, and it didn't result in a kill.
The nice steal coming out from Akuma with the 1200 damage parlay.
1290.
1290. My bad.
You know, small things. But yeah, that is the Void Staff going over to the Azir as well. They're trying to get a pick. They're trying to get control, but again, with the nerf Sivir, with the nerf Sejuani, and against the new Warrior Enchant, and against the new well, not new, but against the reworked and tons of damage Gangplank, it feels like it's a team comp from a couple months ago versus a team comp in the current meta.
Yeah, like, it's really weird, too, because I was going to criticize the Kennen pick, because I was like, oh, you know, Kennen mid is like a really weird pick with this team, but it happens to be working because it's kind of undermining the purpose of Spooky Midnight's team comp. They want to be doing these team fights, and they can't, because they can't just sit in the Slicing Maelstrom.
And Hamilton has also played the Kennen a lot in House Party 5v5 to varying success in games, but he knows how to team fight with it, and when you're adding in Jixer, you're adding in American Korean, these guys have been practicing a lot on both the solo ladder and in ranked 5s, but it's team fights that are comfortable to Akuma Shinigami and the boss already, and it's something they know how to play around, and they're doing so well. Akuma goes Hydra next.
For reasons, why not?
Would have liked to see another cooldown item, potentially a tanky item, maybe like a Bloodthirst or... But no matter what, it's the Hydra here to give another different kind of AoE to Gangplank's kit. I'd like to call the Akuma build the I'm going to add AoE in as many ways as possible.
I mean, I guess it works. I think my personal favorite pickup I've seen on Gangplank so far was grabbing the Iceborne Gauntlet, because it changes the AoE of the Iceborne Gauntlet proc to be the size of the keg proc when you fire at a keg.
I thought that might have been hotfixed.
I'm not even sure if it's been hotfixed. I hope it hasn't, because it's a hilarious interaction. It makes a huge field of ice.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you know, what other kind of keg, what other ways do kegs explode besides giant fields of ice? But anyway, we have
the thing about the Hydra
is
that I think it's really weird because they did nerf his armor pen on his kegs now, so building a Last Whisper would not have been, would not have gone to miss. But he instead opted to go for more wave clear because he was hungering for that, I guess.
And lifesteal.
And lifesteal. I mean, I guess he wanted the lifesteal, but hell, you could get a Bloodthirster. Oh, yeah. Jetrix taking half of his health and damage from one keg.
The boss trading flashes with Jetrix to try to get this done, try to get the fight started. But again, that's a trade of cooldowns in a favorite that is positive to Zany Superstars with this comp. Here's the go button. Hamilton just
One-shot Jetrix. That's a beautiful ultimate coming out from Jixer. They're able to follow up. Kennen starts with the double kill. Kuna Shimigami picks up another, and Steph is in the middle of him, and that's another double kill going over to Gangplank and Akuma Shinigami as well. Harper Lee is able to just survive by himself, but that's an ace. Or not an ace, that's a 4-for-0, and that's probably going to be the game and the first game of the season going over. Zany Superstars.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Akuma is getting kind of low there.
Well, I mean, that's what the Hydra's for, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Look at this sustain.
Look at this sustain.
How could we doubt him for
Flawless
this sustain? Right, well, fantastic game, well played, and congratulations, Zany Superstars, for being the first team win in this new season. We will be setting up the next game, and we will see you guys in a little bit. Catch you later.